A terror attack on a Manchester synagogue leaves multiple people dead. The White House says layoffs are imminent with no end to the shutdown in sight. And a Smithsonian museum pulls in millions in funding, though it receives nearly zero visitors. I'm Daily Wire Executive Editor John Bickley with Georgia Howe. It's Thursday, October 2nd. This is Evening Wire.
At least 2 people are dead and several are injured after a suspected terrorist attack at a synagogue in Manchester this morning. The man plowed his truck through a crowd and stabbed a security guard as worshipers were preparing to celebrate Yom Kippur, the holiest day in the Jewish calendar. Police arrived on the scene and shot the man dead.
Get back! If you're not involved, move back! Get away! Somebody stay with casualties! Everybody else! He has the force! Go away!
Authorities are investigating a suspected explosive device on the suspect's body and have officially labeled the attack a terrorist incident. So far, at least 2 people have been arrested.
Amid the government shutdown tension, one man is taking advantage of the opportunity for change. OMB Director Russell Vought. Vought previously directed federal agencies to prepare plans for layoffs ahead of the current shutdown. Now he's prepared to use executive authority to freeze spending on Democrat-backed programs. So far, Vought has promised to cancel $8 billion for climate-focused work under the Energy Department, as well as $18 billion in New York City infrastructure projects. Vought's work adds a layer of urgency to the shutdown as Democratic policy priorities may be vulnerable to cuts. And for his part, Republican Senator Mike Lee says Democrats have just given Vought the chance to do what he's been champing at the bit to do for years, fire a bunch of bureaucrats. Here's Lee on Fox.
This is what they're doing. They're doing it deliberately. It's going to harm them because Russ Vought, the OMB director, has been dreaming about this moment, preparing this moment since puberty.
White House officials went to Memphis Wednesday to meet with local and state authorities about the arrival of National Guard troops to the city to help crack down on crime. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth, AG Pam Bondi, and Tennessee Governor Bill Lee were all there to talk about the Memphis Safe Task Force. Also there was White House Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller, who had a message for the Memphis police. You are unleashed.
The idea that there is a square inch of block in this city where a citizen doesn't feel safe is unacceptable. This is Memphis. This is the United States of America. And all that bullshit is done. It's over. It's finished.
Vice President Vance has promised to stop the sombrero memes if Democrats will just reopen the government. Democrats and left-wing media have condemned what they say are racist memes showing Democratic leaders Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer wearing sombreros and comical mustaches, mocking their attempts to give health care dollars back to illegal immigrants. Asked about the memes at a press briefing Wednesday, Vance made a solemn vow to Jeffries.
Oh, I think it's funny. The president's joking, and we're having a good time. You can negotiate in good faith while also poking a little bit of fun at some of the absurdities of the Democrats' positions, and even, poking some fun at the absurdity of the Democrats themselves. I mean, I'll tell Hakeem Jeffries right now, I make this solemn promise to you that if you help us reopen the government, the sombrero memes will stop.
A staggering number of immigrants in the Minneapolis area have committed immigration fraud. Daily Wire reporter Tim Pierce has the story.
Federal officials this week announced that nearly half of the tens of thousands of immigrants that live in greater Minneapolis are in the United States illegally. Examples of fraud include sham marriages, forged documents, and other schemes. The vast swath of fraud was discovered in a September sweep led by Immigration and Customs Enforcement. The target area includes the heavily Somali immigrant community of Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, who has faced immigration fraud accusations herself that she married her brother to get him U.S. citizenship. Federal officials say that the operation, called Twin Shield, will soon be replicated across major cities in the United States.
The Trump administration has agreed to provide Ukraine with intelligence for missile strikes targeting locations deep inside Russia. Daily Wire reporter Zach Jewell has the details.
The Wall Street Journal reported Wednesday that President Trump greenlit a plan that would allow U.S. intelligence agencies to help Ukraine strike Russian targets. The president is also reportedly considering sending powerful Tomahawk and Barracuda missiles to Kyiv that would allow Ukrainian forces to fire upon targets deeper inside Russia. The weapons and intelligence provided by the U.S. government would likely be used by the Ukrainians to hit Russian energy infrastructure, but a final decision on sending the weapons has not yet been made. If Trump moves forward with the plan, it would mark a major change in his strategy on the Ukraine-Russia war. In the final months of the Biden administration, then President-elect Trump said it was, quote, stupid for the U.S. to authorize Ukraine's use of long-range missiles to target Russia.
Walmart, the country's largest retailer, will eliminate synthetic dyes plus 30 other ingredients from its private food lines by 2027. Those labels include great value, market side, freshness guaranteed, and better goods. Company CEO John Furner says the move is in response to customer demand. Walmart also told Fox Business that the potential higher price points for natural ingredients can be mitigated due to the company's scale and market share. Walmart is just the latest major food giant to make Maha-inspired changes to their recipes. General Mills, ConAgra, Kraft Heinz, and Smucker's, which also owns Hostess, are making similar moves.
Pro-transgender children's content on Netflix has prompted cancellations, including by Elon Musk. Daily Wire entertainment reporter Amanda Harding has more.
The SpaceX CEO posted on his platform Wednesday, quote, "Cancel Netflix for the health of your kids." The Tesla founder also commented same to an ex-user who wrote, "Just canceled my Netflix subscription. If you employ someone who celebrated the murder of Charlie Kirk and make content that pushes pro-trans content on my kids, you will never get a dime of my money. It's as simple as that." This was after clips from multiple shows marketed to children ages 7 and up were being shared on X. Among them, the short-lived series Dead End Paranormal Park, a Netflix original that aired 20 episodes across 2 seasons in 2022, featured a storyline in which the main character claimed to be transgender. Here's a clip that's gone viral.
"I'm trans, Norma, and everyone at school knows, and everyone at home knows, and being here, it's like a whole new place. I can just be Barney, and I can choose if and when I tell people. I've never been happier, and that's saying something when I spent today chased by terrifying zombie mascots."
While Congress fights about funding, one Smithsonian museum is getting millions of dollars a year, even though it has almost no visitors. Daily Wire investigative reporter Luke Rosiak spent an afternoon there.
The Smithsonian's Anacostia Community Museum says it's aimed at reckoning with our racial past, learning about Black power, and doing the collective work to build a more equitable future. After the much larger African American History and Culture Museum opened in 2016 on the National Mall, it became largely redundant and got only about 5 visitors per day. Yet it continues to employ 17 full-time staffers with $3 million in federal funds. The Trump administration has proposed ending that. Now, for decades, the museum's backers had claimed the government was racist for not building that larger museum. But now that they've got it, they're complaining about the likely closure of the one it replaced. I spent hours there, and one of the only guests I saw was just there to use the bathroom.
Virginia's gubernatorial race has tightened, according to a recent poll by A2 Insights. Daily Wire assistant editor Andy Valdez has the details.
The new survey found Republican Lieutenant Governor Winsome Earl-Sears a mere 3 points behind Democrat Abigail Spanberger, the closest margin seen in polling for several months. A survey in September found that Spanberger held an 8-point lead, with another poll saying that the Democrat is ahead by 9 points. The now competitive race continues, with only a month left before the election, and Republican Earl-Sears seems to be making a late comeback.
The IDF has intercepted Greta Thunberg's activist flotilla. About 50 vessels made up the so-called global Sumud flotilla, and many of them have been linked to Hamas. The boating convoy was made up of a group of multiple activist flotillas launched in recent months from ports around the Mediterranean. The various vessels attempted to break past the Israeli military to deliver supplies to Gaza. The IDF offered to bring the aid to Gaza itself and has denounced the flotilla as a stunt. The IDF released a statement saying, quote, Greta and her friends are safe and healthy, and adding that they'll be brought to Israel, then returned to Europe. Footage of Thunberg wearing a traditional Arab headdress seated next to a military member was also released.
A minor collision between 2 jets at LaGuardia Airport has people questioning, did this accident happen because of the government shutdown? We asked former New Hampshire governor and CEO of Airlines for America, Chris Sununu, about the crash.
So what we know right now is that 2 planes that were taxiing around LaGuardia came into contact with each other this morning. There was 1 minor injury. The FAA and the NTSB have teams on the ground right now looking into it. So, you know, they'll get to the bottom of exactly what happened. But it looks like someone was kind of moving an airplane where they shouldn't have been moving an airplane. But we did look to say, you know, was this any sort of result of what we're seeing during the shutdown? And the answer is absolutely not. They had a fully staffed control tower, fully staffed manpower there. It was simply someone's error on the ground.
All right, those are your drive home updates. To learn more about these stories, go to dailywire.com. And in case you missed it this morning, we covered some major stories, including the U.S. government shutdown taking effect, New York State issuing commercial driver's licenses to illegal immigrants, and Canada launching a new gun buyback program. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back tomorrow morning with another full edition of Morning Wire.